Hope you've had a fantastic week and it's only going to get better. Dogs fans, you're off to Fremantle. That game starting at 8:10 Melbourne time. Guests, plenty of them. Chris Grant to join us from the Bulldogs, the CEO of Fremantle, Simon Garlick. Nate's top 5. Damo's got the news, the hot topics, the quiz. It is all here on what has been another massive week for the Friday Huddle team. And I'm glad our fearless leader is back after doing his cashy last week. Luke Darcy is here to lead from the front. Hello to you, Darcy.
Hello, Howie. Great to be a little fatigued after putting back into the community over there in SA and getting out and seeing all the people, which was enjoyable.
Did it
go? Fantastic weekend over there. Loved it. Generally missed the Friday Huddle. Howie, you know I'm a great reader of body language. You know,
Yes.
I like to study body language.
Yes.
I've got an overwhelming sense of positivity about the Friday Huddle tonight. That is my feel. And I also feel that Nate Brown's sitting on a little something that he's maybe working on for a week's time. I hear there has been some diva-like behaviour in
really?
our industry
Right.
that is next level. Nate's not prepared to go with it, but I hope he does at some stage because we need to call out the diva behaviour.
Well, there's no diva behaviour on this show because
Ever.
we all know anything can be spoken about at any time, and that's always been the idea of the show. Hello to you, our flashy small forward, Nathan Brown.
I'm excited. Like you, Duke, I had a great weekend last weekend and I had a nice dinner out with Damo, Howie, the chief. And
Yeah.
Duke, you missed it, but it was a very, very funny night. And our friend here, the chief, was at his funniest best. If you ever get to sit down with the chief for just 60 minutes, he is the funniest human being of all time.
Was he in? People won't believe that. We occasionally you get him in one of those moods where he starts strafing people. Chief?
Anybody.
Was it one of those?
Anybody copped it.
Good evening, everyone. How are we all going?
Hello, Chiefy. What you don't know is when we walked out of dinner, I was walking back to the hotel with 1254, my hero, and we walked past an ice cream shop, and it was like a magnet drawing the chick. He's like, Howie, do you think we should just finish with a little sort of cookies and cream tea in the evening? But we didn't. But before we introduce
How's your
Chief,
week?
the man of the moment, we'll get to Damien first, also a fearless reporter who goes anywhere and everywhere and never backs down from a big story. Damien Barrett is here. Hello to you, Damo.
Have you got some places we need to get to tonight?
No,
We've got a lot of
just
news
nice
to bring
to
to the table.
introduce to you.
Yeah. I love the way you roll with the cap wearing backwards, Howie, too.
He's cool, isn't
it's
he?
I've
magnificent.
come in pretty casual today.
Like a 12-year-old skateboarder, Howie.
Yep.
Yeah, and you actually pull it off, Howie. I hate to say it.
Thank you,
I'd
Damo.
like to actually pull you down for it, but I actually give you the compliments.
I appreciate that. And here he is, my hero, the man that gets up at midday, 1,254 goals, 11, 4 premierships, and a man about town in Melbourne, Jason Dunstall. Hello, Chief. Here. It was
Already
fantastic
said
to
good
spend
evening.
time
Hope
with you.
everyone's had a great week and great to see Nathan back. He's brought a little friend on his bottom lip, which is interesting. So we've actually got an extra person in the booth. You going well, mate?
Settle down, mate.
I love it when you've got that because you're the first to point it
A
out.
little bit of a culture on my bottom lip.
A little.
Yeah.
How was your week, Chiefy?
I get it when I have a night out like I did with you last Friday night.
Yeah. I'm
Now he
surprised
can't
you can.
smile.
I'm surprised you can remember what.
I can remember
Bits and
3/4 of the night.
Yeah. You don't smile too hard; it'll split too, and then it'll start bleeding.
Good
How's
save.
your week, Chief? You had a
very
big
good.
week?
How's your week?
Very good. Been doing lots of walking and lots of working and
Any tennis?
preparation for this. Yeah, had a hit.
Anyone let you down on the tennis court this week?
Brownie didn't turn up last Monday, and he's already not turning up next Monday. So there's been a movement to exclude him from the group. So he's now
Got a very aggressive text message today.
he's now our first reserve when we need someone.
Right.
Because
Okay. What else you been up to?
unreliability is a
It's
pet
poor,
hate of
Chief.
mine.
I agree. And it's a feedback-driven environment. If you can't turn up consistently, you're probably out,
Correct.
mate.
Now, just before we move on, I've got a little bit of content for the first segment.
Really?
But if any of you fantastic, tough footballers have got, or fearless reporters, if anyone's got anything to say now, say it now, and then we'll move on with the show.
What are you
What are you talking about, Howard?
Just if anyone's got anything to bring to the table.
I had a really good week all round. Howie. Nothing specific for me.
There's a CEO search for the AFL that we
No,
could...
no,
no.
No, he keeps on going about my coal, so we might go there, but let's move on.
Okay. Well, I thought we were talking about something else off the top, but as we're not,
You want to go anywhere?
no, I've got a little aside story. Big story that a prime sponsor of Triple M football in the name of McDonald's cast a national search for an athlete of great renown to be the face of their new advertising campaign about McDelivery. Now, this was cast far and wide. And
It's AFL,
AFL,
soccer, rugby,
the whole
cricket,
works. The whole works.
everything.
Everything.
Any discipline.
Any discipline. And they came to one person and one person only.
Who would be the face of Macca's?
Who do you think?
Who's
Who's sort of been in the news lately?
Was it someone in this room, is it?
Well, yep, and it wasn't Damo.
Okay, well, I haven't been in the paper this week, so Duke, have
I don't
you?
think I have.
I'm more of your House of Wellness ambassador. I'm not sure.
So this advertising
coming my way.
campaign,
So it's off to a good start.
apparently it got down to a selection of 3. And then they went through the selection process as to who they should choose. And apparently the deciding factor came back to previous advertorial work.
Oh, yeah.
Now, at this point, one of the big names put up one of their ads. Not too good. One of the other big names put up.
Can we name names or not?
Who are the other
I
names?
don't want to
Who
tell you
else is
who
in
else
them?
was in the
You gotta name the
competition. Well, I'll
runner-up.
ask the person in a moment who was else in it. But then our Man Chief's representatives sent through this little advertorial gem that Chief had done in the past, and apparently this is what got him the gig.
I've heard a lot about Rattleys from the guys from Tasmania, and now I've got to tell you that I agree with them. The range is the best I've seen. So is the range of prices. And Rattleys tailor everything to fit you perfectly, at no extra charge. Rattleys also have credit accounts, with no charges, and you can take 4 months to pay. But you know what I think the best thing is? The service. I've never struck anything this good anywhere. A lot of good things come from Tasmania, but with Rattleys, you guys have got the best.
Chief, I don't have...
This is a little bit without the visual aspect of the
well,
kid I'm wearing.
I don't have the deepest
I
voice.
almost had an accent there, didn't I?
So
An
this
air of grace
is what
about
had
me.
nearly got our man the job. They were swaying back and forth, and his representative said, have you got any more of his work in the advertising space? And all of a sudden, this little tip-top arrangement came through.
You're telling me there's a new white bread that's really high in fibre? I'd like to eat that.
How squeaky were you back then, Chief?
We're just waiting for the plums to drop, Duke. It took a little while. Sometimes it happens at different stages of people's lives.
So, Chief, you are now in the most recent McDonald's ad. We won't play it at this point. We might get to that. But, Chief, how was the experience being the poster boy for Australian sport?
You've dressed it up a little bit, Howie, as you have a tendency to do. I was just helping out one of the sponsors, mate.
Helping out, were you?
You've never been in more demand, Chief.
Please.
What sort of setting are we talking, Chief? Is it you sitting there with a McChicken and inhaling one, or
Yeah, so to speak. You know, I was just waiting for a delivery.
So from all reports...
You're in an ad. Another one.
I'll play the ad in a moment. Actually, we'll play...
Well, this is a national, so...
national campaign.
I'd like to
I'll-
talk
I'll
who is
play
runner
this-
up? Can I find out who's? I want to ask a couple more questions here, Howie.
Well, I'll play it to you, and then you can start to ask questions. Now you really need to listen out to where Chief appears in this ad, but this is the ad in question.
Retired scoring machine, third most goals in AFL history. But can he still score from outside 50? He comes in, pulls out his phone, and scores points with McDelivery, now on the My Macca's app.
Now, if you missed Chief, hang on, if you missed the line, because there was creative arguments at the show in general, but before you're asking questions, if you missed Chief's input into the ad in question, for which he really took McDonald's to town financially, just one more time, Leroy, here's Chief.
I fought hard for a greater involvement. I wanted a bigger speaking part, Duke, but they felt that was sort of my wheelhouse. Just enough.
So
we haven't
Chief,
got a visual on it, but it feels like he was overacting just on that part, Howie.
we can probably show you a visual in
I'd
here,
like
but
to see
just
it.
good. So it's up at the SCG. Got off to a bad start because Chief got put on the 6 a.m. flight, and a fair bit of sitting around, Chief, when you got there.
That's always the case on these days. Filming, Howie, you know, you've done plenty yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have, in fact. You did it last year, didn't you? For
A
McDonald's.
slightly different one, but yes, wardrobe. What was the dispute and arrangement about wardrobe?
There was no dispute. They have a.
Did you have the black shirt on? You look good in the black shirt.
They have a clear picture of what they think a good training kit looks like.
And you thought of it?
Well, it was very Sydney-oriented, the thought process.
What do you mean by that, Chief? What are you referring
Well, it's
to?
not what I would wear
Right.
as a training kit.
Was
Did you
was
take
there
your
a good,
Daniel Patrick number, the
I should
zip up?
I should have.
was there a good amount of sheets available to you for the role?
Well, this is
I
Nate's.
was just
this is
helping
Nate's-
out a sponsor, mate.
this is
What would
Nate's
this be worth,
department.
Nath? Yeah.
McDonald's national,
national
to go to
campaign.
Sydney.
to the
It
third
depends
greatest
on how
goal
long
kicker of all
it
time.
depends on how long it goes for. So I'd imagine it goes for
a day's work.
They've got Chief
Um,
wearing. It's like he's holding the stop go sign on a work
Depends
site,
how long
Chief.
the ad.
They love the training
Runs
vest
for.
over the
Is for.
top of the kit.
But I would have thought it's a minimum starting wage of 50,000.
It's a footy season ad,
Yeah.
I've been told. A footy season length
Yeah.
ad.
I was
So
looking after a
30
sponsor.
weeks. Good 30
Yeah,
weeks.
50,000.
50,000 for
Yep.
Chief.
Looking after a sponsor.
I'm heard some of the
unders.
names in the mix that Chief out-chiefed. Plugger?
Plugger, yeah. If you're going for big goal kickers,
Modra.
Mods.
see mods.
This is what I heard.
Who'd you hear it from, Howie? Because you seem to be just plucking names out of the sky.
You, Chief.
I
To be
did not
fair.
say that
You
at
told me
all.
you outdid Plugger and Modra. How was the whole
That is
experience?
untrue. Could you please at least be
Oh,
honest?
So we're going to start speaking
That
truth
is
on this show, are we?
untrue.
Does it feel good to be back doing ads, Chief? Because you've never been more in demand.
Hang on, who am I talking to? You or your mate on your left?
You're in high demand at the moment. Doing an ad, a national
National
ad,
ad, that's
is
big,
a
Chief.
big
The
thing.
The
Yeah,
only
that's
reason I
big,
got
yeah.
involved.
The last one you did
the
was a
only-
Tasmanian one.
Mate, the only reason I got involved is because it was a sponsor that aligned themselves with both Triple M and Fox Footy and everything. Yeah, you know, the planets aligned. So I was happy to help out. It was a day where I didn't have much going on, so happy to help
Chief, I
out.
think what the boys are trying to ask is, at age 57, are you overwhelmed by the opportunities that are coming your way? In the advertising space, Chief.
That's not a walkout. That's not walkout worthy, Chief. He's
Trying not to laugh.
he threatened us with a walkout.
He's gone.
He said, if there's any sniggering or any sideways glance, I will go. And then look, and you know the best part about it? He's gone out there and he's strafing the big nose bridges. And I told you, if these idiots even linger, he's like a good bottle of red, Chief. He gets better and better.
He's the
and
funniest
better
person I know.
along the-
That
He's-
night last
he's the
Friday,
man.
too.
For
Now that he's gone,
advertising-
we can probably open right up.
No, we can't. No,
Because
we can't.
in his 30s, he was pretty cantankerous in his 30s, Howard. Did you meet him in his...
I met him a couple of times when I asked him for an autograph and he just shook
He
his head
wouldn't
and
have given
walked
you
off.
much. In his
No.
40s, he was fairly hard to deal with. He's come into his own.
Yeah,
As
the
you said.
company he provided last Friday night at that dinner in Adelaide,
Outstanding.
it was as good as I've had for a long time.
And
The
he's
way
going well because he offered up a $100 tip on top of the bill. It was a massive tip.
He did.
Yeah.
What's just talking about dinner. So if you go out to dinner,
100's probably unders, by the way, for Chief, given he's just taken 50 things
Yeah.
off
what
the
happens
table,
if, say, you and your mate Chief have a beer each, and then two other blokes at the table order $300 bottles of wine and drink two of them,
you split the bill, Howie.
which is what we did.
Yeah,
We
that's
took what
how
we
we
did.
We
was
did
there,
offer.
Was there anyone who...
No, we
who-
agreed. We agreed to split the bill, and then Chief.
So you're probably the loser there with your
No,
shandy.
no. we split the bill right down the middle, but Chief did throw in a very
Nice little-
generous tip.
Donny Bradman.
Did dawn on me the next day, Howie, that you probably came out of that poorly.
no,
and,
it's all
and,
good.
and I
And I'll tell
apologise
you
for
what,
that, and I will rectify that.
No,
Chief
no, you don't
made
need
the
to.
most of the T-bone because there was zero meat left on that bone. He bent the bone in half and then snapped it, and then he was sucking out
The marrow.
the marrow from inside. There is not one skerrick. My dog leaves more stuff on the bone than what the Chief did.
He may re-enter the studio here if you keep that up. He's in a happy place, and
He
that's all
is.
that counts.
He is.
Yeah,
Good
the
luck to you,
top
and well
of his
done.
game.
In
Top,
demand
top,
as far
top of
as
his game.
advertisers. Well done to the Chief for getting involved in that. Time for.
Howie's Hot Topics.
Did any of you see what was taking place at the Grange in Adelaide today? And the crowds and the excitement around the LIV Golf. Did anyone just watch any of the social clips or any of the golf at all?
Briefly, yes, before we came on air, and it seemed to be going off in a massive way.
Didn't see Howie, but the word on the street in Adelaide was that every hotel room sold out for gather round. But if you could be busier, LIV Golf almost to another level, which is amazing to sell out the golf, isn't it? And the impact of that on the South Australian economy, another big win for South Australia.
Yeah, sold out all weekend. So I was watching the press conference last night, and Greg Norman was asked directly about Saudi involvement and what he thought of Saudi Arabia putting money into LIV Golf, etc., which has been a long-running theme, probably pushed by the USPGA, to be fair. We'll start with you, Chief, because you actually, this was the direct question last night at the press conference of the Great White Guru.
Have you ever had a conversation with Mohammed bin Salman or any of the senior leadership of the Public Investment Fund about Saudi Arabia's human rights record?
Nope, have not.
Why not?
Because I'm the chairman and CEO of LIV Golf Investments.
So it comes up time and time again where the money is coming from, human rights. Everyone's got a strong opinion on it, a very strong opinion on it. Chief, we'll start with you as our international ambassador. Do you have a problem or a thought on Saudi Arabia putting money into LIV Golf and where it sits?
It's a touchy subject to talk about, and I think we need to be very careful. There's a process called sports washing. I don't know if you know about that, which is they're trying to clean up their brand by investing heavily in sport and being seen to be doing lots of the right things. But I think what troubles me with this whole scenario is, why is LIV Golf being targeted? It's not like it's the only sport being played over there. You're a motor racing fan, Howie. There is so much motor racing. Grand Prix continually happen over there. The Dakar rallies, the biggest rally in the world, has been held there for the last 3 years. There is the biggest horse race in the world that is held there, and people travel over there. There are women's events going on over there. Women play golf, but we haven't heard a word about that. I just think we're getting a little bit carried away. The World Championship box, the World Heavyweight Boxing Champ, the rematch between Usyk and Anthony Joshua is about to happen over there. But you never hear any of this except it's LIV Golf. LIV Golf is the guy that's been lumbered with all the human rights violations.
What do you think that is, Chief?
I have no idea. Well, I think Howie hit the nail on the head when he said a lot of it generated by the PGA.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the PR machine trying to tarnish the name of LIV Golf, when no one is saying a word about all these other sporting events that continue to be occurring or playing or taking place in Saudi Arabia. They've got bids in for Asian women's games and all sorts of things coming up over the next...
They own Newcastle United in the EPL.
Correct.
They put
correct.
$500 million in Formula One.
They invest everywhere.
Damo, on that, if you're at that press conference as a journalist, are you asking Norman about Saudi Arabia? Are you swallowing that line that's been put out there, or are you not going down that path?
It depends who you work for, Howie, and what it means to you. I mean, I've followed this storyline, as others have, as a result of the breakaway group and the political ramifications around it. I take the view now that there's a lot of hypocrisy attached to people attacking it. Now, I respect the rights of people to have a query of it and fully respect those rights. But I've now taken the view that as a sport, I defy anyone to knock back the contracts they are offered through the arrangements. That's the sporting side of it. And I feel too, we're in an industry now where we just pick and choose the moral causes we want to highlight. I mean, I look at the Sydney Swans, that they went down a path last week. Again, I respect their decision to do this, to not accept gambling money, to take the anti-gambling money from the government, to not take gambling, and to go very public with that. But the Sydney Swans also have a major premier partner of Qatar Airways. So again, I would say that they're picking and choosing certain causes, not all of them. And I think there's an element of this with LIV Golf. I mean, we can have an issue with it, but I reckon if you're involved in it personally, you're not going to say no to the involvement with the monies attached to it.
I like sport as a force for good, Howie, and where does it stop and where does it end? You could ban any number of nations from the Olympic Games. You could boycott everything on a number of, and have good reason to do it. I understand some of the issues that have taken place in Saudi Arabia are horrific and barbaric.
Yep, and we don't deny that, Jim.
No one would. And what happened to Jamal Khashoggi, it is just one of the most horrific things you'll ever see. But I'm with Damo. There's hypocrisy in this. You need to mirror up everywhere. The US, Australia hasn't got a perfect record on any of these things. And so I think sport, I want to take sport to as many places on the globe as you can, because that to me is the best of humanity, not the worst of humanity. So there's a bit of hypocrisy for me.
We've just come out of such a bad time with COVID as well. So the employment that it creates, so take the LIV Golf in Adelaide this weekend, the employment that it creates, the money that gets driven into the local economy, the Barossa, all the offshoots of South Australia, the amount of money they get, and obviously on the back of what we've just done in Gather Round, it's good for the economy.
You just interviewed the Shark?
Yep.
I mean, you would have asked him about that. How was he?
He was fantastic. My impression in an hour chatting with him was he wants to promote golf. He's more than happy for people to go and watch the PGA Tour, but he's providing an alternative.
Yep.
PGA Tour, I think he was saying the average audience age is 66. He said, knock yourself out, love the PGA Tour, but he's got an average audience of 46, and he's like, I'm providing competition. If you want to come and watch it, fantastic.
Party holes,
the
new generation of golf.
I'm sold. All right. Mid-season draft, always a constant talking point in the AFL. You can draft one media operator into Triple M football that doesn't currently work here. Damo.
Oh, okay.
Start with you.
Well, I have
the boss will hate this too that we're talking about, Rob.
Are we allowed to talk about this?
Well, because this whole thing about if we talk about SEN, it means people are going to start listening to SEN, not Triple M, etc. That is the most outdated media argument I have ever heard.
Yep.
So go for your life.
All right, I'm seeking the recruitment of a man who we're close with, Brownie, in Matty Lloyd.
Matty Lloyd across
off the rival network. See, and I reckon he would. What he would bring is I think a sense of humour that may be lost where he's at. and I think he's
He is a lot funnier than the thing.
He's very funny,
very,
man.
very funny.
And he's
Chief's
happy
the
to go
funniest
along
man
with
I know. Lordo is up
joke.
there.
Okay, so you're giving a tick.
Would
to
you like
Lloydie
that?
coming in?
Oh, I'm very happy to bring Lloydo in.
Okay.
All clear there for me. Very good man. Lloydie.
What about
Very
you,
happy.
Nathan? Who have you got an eye on as a media performer that could join us?
Well, another one of my great mates and a man I've played a lot of football with is Richo. And
Richo?
I would
Oh.
love him because I think that he suits Triple M. And I don't think he suits 3AW where he is. And all respect to
What do you mean?
where he is at the moment.
What do you say?
I think
That's young.
he's young. He's younger than these guys.
Is this
and a
going to get us
little bit
into
older
trouble,
than
this
me.
conversation?
No, of
Howie?
course it's not.
Absolutely not. But I
just-
think he would flourish here
Okay.
at Triple M footy.
Yeah,
All
big
right.
tick for Richo, man. I had him
Okay.
high at the top of my
So
list.
tick and tick.
So Chiefy is the most experienced media operator here. Who are you bringing in to roll alongside you?
Don't want any. Howie. But if I had, no, I'm only joking. There is, you know who I would bring in? And it's funny, there's a common theme already with where we're going, and they have to fit the good bloke test, don't they? There's a bloke that just makes me happy whenever I'm around him. And it's another guy that you would have played footy with, Nathan.
Oh, I know you mean.
He smiles more than anybody I've ever met in my life, and that is
Jono.
Brad Johnson.
Yeah.
Johnson.
Jono's the nicest bloke I've ever met, the most genuine bloke I've ever met, and you just feel better about yourself and you feel happier when he's around.
That's a really good point, Chief.
good
I
call.
bumped into him at the
Yep.
airport on Sunday,
Just to
and,
rip him
and
up.
I felt
There is
better.
no one on the planet can say a bad word about Brad
No,
Johnson.
no.
He concur sincerely with Chief. You're right. You want to be surrounded by. I'd have all three of those. I'd put Lingy in that.
you put Lingy in?
Big Linger.
Lingy's getting a run.
Yep. Happy man, Lingy. Good to be around. I'm gonna sign Lingy.
Lingy. Okay. Well, that's good.
How about you,
contributions.
mate?
You, Howie?
I think I'd love to get Lee Matthews into Triple M.
Barney.
Football. I just
Another
think
3AW.
an untapped talent in the humour space. I've heard stories about him, Chief, some that you've told me, some
But
that others.
he's accidentally funny. Barney.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's what Mark
doesn't do
Waugh
it
is.
on purpose.
That's what Mark Waugh is, and he's a genius. So if we've added all those in,
How come none of them were callers?
no, there's reasons for that, Chief. We're hardly going to get Hutto in here, are we? We'll get blown out of the water. So now that we've taken all these in, who are we?
Oh, this is a good conversation.
Salary cap
This
issues
is a
now.
good conversation.
But I
Well,
didn't put that on the list.
We probably get rid of
Are
our
you
producer
asking
pretty
who we're going to
quick.
get rid of?
Yes, I am.
Worst on ground style.
If you want to go there or we move on.
You know, you got to
no,
take
we
one
don't
out.
do
No,
that.
I
We
think
don't
we've got to
ground
take
anymore.
one out, Howie, because this is what happens. You sit on these committees and everyone says, I want to bring Lloydo in, I want to bring...
right, you have a solution.
So
You're
I'm going to
right,
go
Chief.
first, and it might be low-hanging fruit, but Tunnicliffe's gone. The big nose producer. We just save a couple of bucks,
No,
Howie.
you need on-air talent,
We
Duke.
produce ourselves.
You can't do a
God,
producer.
on
You've got to
air
replace
talent.
like
Okay.
for like. You've got to
On air
replace
talent.
like for
Okay,
like.
who goes out? I'm sorry, Nate. I love you. Hey, that's the hard part about match committee, Chief. But I'd rather be a front stabber than a backstabber.
Okay, so Nate's gone.
Rich
Nate's
Ozy.
gone. What about you, Chief?
Well, hang on. It doesn't have to be the Friday night team.
No, it can be
Oh,
anyone.
right,
Right.
so
So
why not?
who's in the Saturday team?
Well, you've got
I'm sure we can 86 a few of the others.
You've got the full board.
Who's
Triple
been
M
hard,
talent.
yeah.
Who's our
think of it.
Saturday team?
I'm not naming anything.
Oh, Bill's had enough,
Well,
hasn't he?
Who else?
So Bill, Jim,
Well, I'm bringing in a
myself,
6'6"
and Bernie.
And who's on Sunday?
Centre half forward.
Joey,
So
Daisy, Brownie.
need to take a 6'6" centre half forward
Stevie
or centre
Joe.
half back out. So Luffy can go.
Sounds like
Fluffy's gone. The heart and soul of the network.
No, you can't cut.
sounds like there's a bit of fluff on Sunday too.
Right. Okay. So who you tapping?
Take a pick.
Take your pick.
Anyone from Sunday.
Just name one.
They can go.
Okay. So you're getting rid of the whole team.
Draw lots out of a hat.
Okay.
One's done.
Who's on Sunday? That's Nate, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Nate, it's Jono,
Nate, Stevie
it's,
J.
JC.
Jay-Z,
Big Call
Lee
Montana.
Montana.
Lee
Big Call
Montana,
Montana.
Yep.
and Daisy Thomas. Chief?
I think Sunday's the way to go. Duke's nodding his head.
Damo, have you got anything to add
No,
here?
what's your next topic, Howie?
No, we're going to take a break.
By the way, I'm keeping Luffy, okay?
Okay. No,
don't
we're
try and make me
Sure
talk
you
now.
are. We'll take a break. We've got more hot topics after the
You know what he
break, I
does?
think.
He goes to confession straight away, does he? Sorry, God.
Topics blew out, so we will continue on, Damo.
You're on a roll, Howie.
I was watching the Mighty Hawks in the Qantas Club last week, leaving, and Harry Himmelberg took that unbelievable mark, went back, which hasn't been talked about, and nailed it from 40, then raced up the other end and managed to affect the spoil. And then Cody Waitman, who I love as a footballer, was given Mark of the Year. How did that happen, firstly?
I think there's a public element to that outcome. Is that right?
It's
or
voted
not?
on.
I don't know.
It's
Mark
voted
of the
on.
week, you mean, Howie?
Mark of the week, yeah.
GWS wouldn't have any supporters to vote on it. Most of the Bulldog supporters would have voted on it.
So does that mean he now can't win Mark of the Year?
Absolutely. He
No,
cannot.
I think
and it
there
is
is
Mark of the Year, almost.
discretion, I think, when it comes to the final vote, Brownie, I
right.
believe.
There
And
is
who has
discretion
that
there.
discretion?
You're right on
Damo?
that. You're right on that, Damo. It is the All-Australian Committee vote on Mark of the Year, and so you can overrule the popular vote.
Okay.
Well, I hope you
Okay.
do on that one because
No,
that
not
wasn't
me anymore, Damon.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Not you and
Not
KB
I.
anymore?
I think KB's still there. But, I think KB's still there.
Double clutch performance by Harry. Unbelievable grab.
Wasn't it?
Kicked the goal, then went back and saved the other end. Start with you, Nate. The biggest clutch performance you have seen in sport.
I've got a couple. It's hard to go past Dustin Martin's performance in the grand final against Geelong. That was brilliant. But as you know, I love watching cricket, and it was the 2005 Ashes, and the whole series of Andrew Flintoff was just the best I think I've ever seen an individual play when it needed to be won or it needed to be held up or it needed to go fast. And then he took the wickets when he needed to. Obviously, the Aussies were none for 47, chasing a small total. And he got 2 wickets back-to-back. Punter was a duck on them, and then they rolled them after that. And that was after hitting 78 out of 151, I think, in that second one. So that was the best series I've ever seen clutch
Good
at
clutches.
the end.
Just on cricket, I know we spoke over the summer. You were negotiating. Does your new contract include cricket calling?
No, we haven't discussed the cricket calling yet, me and Ewan, but we will get to it.
Doesn't sound like they're beating the door down, Howie, does it? Is there something we should know?
I don't know. I just
Have you not been sort of mentoring the young man?
no.
Well, it's not cricket season yet, Jeff.
I didn't mentor him. I told Ewan that I thought he should give Nate a go, and Nate took full advantage and did a very good job. But the fact they haven't contacted you
Isn't great.
It's called, Nate, it's called Special Projects. Let me welcome you
It
to the
might be
world.
there
of-
with best on ground as far as that goes. Damo, you've seen a lot of sport. Best clutch performance.
There's a couple, Howie, and look, from a footy perspective, Dom Sheed's goal in 2018. But to widen it up, I reckon I've got a soft spot for this performance. There's Kieran Perkins in the 96 1500 metres when he was gone, and having already won in 92. As we know, got into the final by 1/100th of a second, and then blew the field away, just outpsyched them, and I reckon that does define clutch.
Yeah, hard to beat.
Was that Atlanta, wasn't it?
Atlanta, 1996, yeah. And Kowalski had gone into that whole meet and got medals in the 200, 400 and the 1500, but wasn't able to win what he desperately wanted to because he was outpsyched, unfortunately, by the great Kieran
King
Perkins.
Kieran.
And give this a lot of thought, Howie, in fairness, but just looking back to the World Cup last year, and if you're Messi and you're the greatest player in the history of the game, you go into that tournament, everyone in the world expects you to deliver that something,
The true
the
world
only
is
thing
watching.
that you haven't done in the game, and the pressure that was on that performer, and watching him every single round deliver and score and set up goals. This game I don't pretend to know, but that to me was someone on the biggest stage ever, just nailing it. What a
Particularly after they got beaten by, I'm pretty sure it was Saudi Arabia in the second
That's right.
game,
They
and
did
then
too,
everybody
yeah.
written them off.
Good. Chiefy, you watch a lot of sport.
I do. Mine's a long one, Howie. Have we got time?
Yes, Chief.
I'm going to take you back to 1988.
Oh, hang on. Do we need some sort of music to set the
That's,
background here?
that's an Olympic year,
Yeah,
too.
right.
No,
What do you
no,
know?
not
Wasn't
Olympic.
you, Chief, was it?
A man, it should have been me, a man by the name of Kirk Gibson.
Kirk Gibson.
Now I need to set the scene as well. So
Gibbo.
we're over in Toronto playing an exhibition game for the AFL.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken mark of the century, or endeavouring to do so during the game. At which point Ned got involved in the clash. We were playing Collingwood, and I came down with a broken nose and a ripped septum in my nose.
Ned being
So
Craig
I had
Kelly.
to, I had to get that fixed up. So I
Deviated
then,
septum, Chief.
yes, then no, ripped, torn,
Oh, okay.
not deviated, mate. Just listen. So I had to get that fixed, which meant I was confined to the hotel room.
Yes.
Nothing like I couldn't go out drinking like everyone else was doing. Not that I wanted to, but I wasn't allowed to go out, so I stayed home and I was watching TV, desperate to find something. Game 1 of the World Series, the LA Dodgers playing the Oakland A's. The man that had been voted MVP for the season, Kirk Gibson, was unable to play because he had 2 badly injured legs.
Oh.
So we get to the bottom of
Two.
the ninth. Both legs, Nath. Both. Bottom of the ninth. They're trailing 4-3. They're 2 out. And they call him as a pinch hitter.
Oh.
Gibbo.
Out of the stands.
He limps down the what do you call it?
Dugout?
The
Bullpen. The steps.
Race.
The tunnel.
The baseball field.
The tunnel. Limps down the tunnel from the rooms, hobbles out to the middle, hits a home run. They've got a man on first, so they win it 5-4. They were trailing 5-3. It's the last hit
Loaded bases.
of the game. No, one guy on base. They were trailing by one.
Listen, Duke.
And he
you
hits
said that.
a home run.
To win it.
Has to hobble around and touch all the bases, and while doing so, keeps pumping the fist like this. It's regarded as the greatest home run ever seen, and the moment has been it's iconic if you talk to anyone that knows baseball. I just happened to be in my hotel room watching this live, going, "Oh my God, this is ridiculous!" Watching this old geezer hobble out and then just tattoo one into the stands and then crawl around the bases.
Were you aware of his work before that, Chief?
No, I just thought, they're going, they're playing a pinch hitter, Kirk Gibson, and he starts, it's like Brian Taylor, he starts hobbling down the tunnel. I thought, he can't play this bloke. He spanks one.
Chief, what about the 87 prelim where Gary Buckenara gets the 15-metre penalty, but still has to nail it from 45 to get you into the grand final?
It's pretty cool, particularly given he was about to launch a barrel because he thought he was too far out.
So is that legend is that Bucky had the barrel ready to go?
You can see it. He had the grip. He was about to kick one, and then Jim got lost and just wandered through the mark. And
where were you? Were you playing? Because you didn't play the next week.
No, I was injured. I got injured in the semi against Carlton, so I was on crutches in the stand.
He was Gibbo at that stage.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Did you get down to the room straight afterwards, Chiefy?
I did, and probably hurt my ankle getting down there because everyone was so excited.
So what did the coach say at that point?
Well done, Gary.
Well, I don't know. Is it like, do you focus on that, Chief, or is it let's go straight on to next week? It's grand final time.
At that point.
Well, Chief, is he lauding the performance, or is he saying, right, job only half done?
The preliminary final, I'm pretty happy to have got through.
Okay.
Howie?
Righto.
Not sure that he specifically said, guys, let's talk about this for a moment. It was just sort of rapturous excitement. But
the other coach wasn't as happy, John Northey.
No.
Giving it to
wonder what he
poor
said.
old Jim Steins.
That amazing photo, isn't there?
Amazing photo.
For mine, Kathy Freeman, talking about pressure.
Yeah.
Sydney Olympics. 400.
Yeah, much bigger than that, doesn't it?
It's clutch, but she was a very, very pronounced favourite and expected to win.
Yeah.
Had to go and deliver it, though, Chief.
When you saw her...
I know, but particularly after the French girl pulled out as well.
Jose
When you
Maria
saw
Mena.
her light the flame on the way in, and you thought the whole world is watching you. That added a layer to it.
That was the
didn't it?
pressure. That was the pressure.
If you Google who is the most famous person in Australia, Kathy's number 2.
Who was number 1?
Sam Worthington. Can you believe that?
Sam Worthington?
Sam Worthington of Avatar fame.
Why were
judged
you
by who?
Well, Jude was in the car the other day and he said, Dad, would you be one of the most famous people in Australia? And I said, look, I'd be up. Yeah, but, I said, there's a lot more famous people than me, Jude. I had a good 10-week period a long time ago. So he Googled it.
Goodness.
And he's going, who's this person? Who's this person?
Sam Worthington.
Yeah.
Mind you, if you Googled it, you could find 100 different lists
Chief,
that were all different.
We have the audio of your man. What was his name?
Kirk Gibson.
Give us a listen, Leroy.
The game right now is at the plate. High fly ball into right field. She is gone! In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened.
There you go.
Awesome.
There you
Wonder
go.
the noise it made off the stand.
Hey, we're running out of
The
time.
American commentators are slightly understated, aren't they? They don't quite.
So good.
If Jude was
we
in the
gotta
back
take
of the
a break.
car, sorry, we
No, we gotta take a
I
break.
was just if Jude wanted to know where Nate could get to the top of the list, if he was in the back of the car and he said, "Dad, is that the biggest goal scorer in Australia?"
No. Look how he's trying to not laugh because it'll split.
You're funny, Duke.
What's next, Dennis?
There's no doubt that's the biggest one.
You
in
big tall
Australia.
beanpole.
Can you cover it up for the Sunday Footy Show, Brady?
Right,